Yo, what is up, everyone? I hope you are having a wonderful day. I know I am. I am very excited to once again be back here on the Volume YouTube channel, day 3 of this brand new show, this grand college football experiment known as Snaps. Get it? Once again, center, T-Bob Hebert, quarterback, Aaron Murray. You get it. You're smart. You're watching this show. Look, if you are watching the show on youtube.com/the volume, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, please. The algorithmic gods that rule our existence. We have a great show planned for you today. We're going to start out west, talking a little USC. Then we'll take a drive down south, little Billy Napier and the Gators. Florida State. While we're in Florida, we'll break down a little Tallahassee as well. And I mean, this is how you produce a show. Look at that third question today. Is Dabo still elite? Chef's kiss of taking us there. So look, thank you for hanging out with us. Subscribe to the Snaps podcast. I'm feeling great on this hump day, Aaron. How are you feeling, man?
Not as good as you, obviously. My man is feeling the rundown today from Ryan, that's for sure. And I will say, I do like that last question because it's something you and I were talking about before the show. I don't want to peak too soon, and we'll let it simmer a little bit for everyone else. But, yeah, heading out west, obviously a lot going out there in California. Can the Pac-12 find a horse to get into the playoffs? I mean, that's been a big question. We dabbled with it a little bit yesterday, discussing, are people sick of just Alabama? Are people sick of the SEC and the dominance here in the Southeastern Conference? Well, you know what? If you want to get in, get some elite coaches, get some players. USC has done that, but is it enough to get them even close to the playoffs? We will touch on that early on in this show.
Well, and that is the question, Aaron, is whether or not you're buying USC stock. I've had this conversation many times. My other co-host, Jake Hester, he is not buying USC. I'm imagining from the little tidbit that we did get out of you yesterday that although they added all of this talent and Lincoln Riley officially joined the Coastal Elites and he now goes and eats at Nobu in Malibu, you are still not buying USC. You don't think that they are going to be, or I'll let you speak, do you think they will be a nationally relevant college football team?
I think they'll be better. Lincoln Riley, what he did at Oklahoma and what he has brought through the transfer portal, they should be a better team. Caleb Williams last year when he took over at starting quarterback for Oklahoma, I thought showed some promise, showed some guts. Obviously, we remember the play where he literally ripped the ball out of the receiver's hands in order to get the first down to win the game. Those are the type of special plays that he should be able to make. Second year in the system, he knows what he's doing, has played more football. There's going to be some confidence heading in there. The thing that I'm not sold on yet for this team to be, say, the team that wins the Pac-12, can they win 8-9 games? Yes. And if you consider that to be a good season, then yes, they're going to be a good team. They should be ranked inside the top 25, possibly somewhere around that 15 mark at some point this year. But are they going to win the Pac-12 is my question. Are they going to be a legitimate team that we consider to possibly one of the 4 teams to make the playoffs at the end of the year? I say no, because I don't buy into the portal just yet. Because what I've seen in my lifetime from Pee Wee football through high school, through college, to the NFL, the best teams are the ones that have been together for a while, that have worked out the kinks, that have worked out the relationships, that have built the leadership. And to me, just grabbing a bunch of guys from all over the country while they are elite and saying, hey, we got 4 or 5 months to figure this out with a first-year head coach, first-year system on both sides of the football. You guys have never worked together. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. Like, they're going to be a good team, but to me, it takes time to be successful. It takes time to be elite, and it takes a lot of chemistry. And right now, they just have not, in my opinion, they've not had that time to be able to work through those kinks. And unfortunately, for college football, there is no preseason. There are no 3-4 games where you get to go out there and do that. You got to be able to produce right away, and I just don't know if they are.
See, now here's what I would say, Aaron. It does make sense, right? You covered this Georgia team last year very closely. And as we talked about yesterday, one of the key differences in Georgia 2 years ago versus last year was they emphasized getting closer, right? I loved what Kirby Smart had to say where 2 years ago in the exit meetings, he's talking to the team and he's like, what was up, post-COVID and everything. And it was basically, we didn't feel very connected, right? So Smart sacrificed actual football time to create relationships, create chemistry, and well, you saw what it translated to on the football field. So I feel you. But as we sit here in this new era of college football, there is one example that I cannot help but pull up here, and that would be Michigan State. I mean, year number one under Mel Tucker, they go 2-5 during that COVID year. Now he took over at a terrible time, COVID, et cetera, et cetera. But to go from 2-5 to 11-2, a New Year's Six bowl win, like Michigan State proved that you can add, and they had 15 transfers in that class. Michigan State proving, including their best players, you can add talent and turn things around overnight now in college football. And USC is doing what Michigan State did, but to an even further degree. This is what's crazy. Number one team in the transfer portal, number one team. But it's not just that they're number one. It wasn't even particularly close. So 247, right? They give a score for the transfer portal. USC comes in with a 92.2. Ole Miss, second place, 82. LSU, third place at 70. Oklahoma, fourth place at 59. Okay, so you were talking about a quality of a transfer class that we've never seen before. And it's not just Caleb Williams, who, look, 65% completion, 2,000 yards, 9.1 yards per attempt. 21 touchdowns to 4 picks. He broke Trevor Lawrence's single-season record for best PFF grade for a true freshman quarterback. Caleb Williams was great. The reigning Biletnikoff winner, Jordan Addison, coming to town. 100 catches, almost 1,600 yards, 17 touchdowns. But it goes further, dude. You got Mario Williams, one of the great freshman receivers from OU last year. PFF's number 6 overall return wide receiver. You even got Oregon's running back Travis Dye. We're talking a man who ran for over 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns. So yes, I understand what you mean from the chemistry standpoint. I still think the defense is going to be garbage. I'm still taking Utah to win the Pac-12. But as we discussed yesterday, I think they have a friendly schedule. They got a good O-line. They're going to have a great offense. Lincoln Riley, I think this is a team that they'll push for 10 wins. They'll push. I don't know if they're going to win the big ones to get over the hump yet, but I do think they will be in that conversation.
Well, and that goes to the question, like, what are we considering a successful first season? I want to go back to what you said about Michigan State and Mel Tucker. Yes, year 2, they went out there and got some guys in the transfer portal. But in year 2, the core of the team was still there. The culture was built. What he wanted, the identity of that football team, was set. So not only are we talking about new guys coming into the transfer portal that have to learn the offense, that have to learn the defense, Lincoln has to really build what he wants his team to look like. You know, what are they going to do in the film room? What are they going to do in the weight room? What is practice going to look like? Like, all those small details. It's not about just getting the transfer guys to buy into that. You're getting the entire football team to buy into that. So Mel Tucker, first year, we get the culture set. Year 2, we bring in guys into that culture that fit what we're trying to do, that can improve our football team. We have success. Lincoln's trying to do all of that right now in the first season. That's talent. Once again, it goes to what are you considering a good year? Because if the average fan or a USC fan says, okay, 8 wins is all we're looking for, 9 wins is what we're looking for, 10 wins would be amazing, then yes, I think they could do that. I think that, to me, they're a 9-3 football team. That's a successful first year. If you're someone who's saying, well, they got Caleb, they got all these great transfers that you just went through the list of, we expect them to be contending for a Pac-12 championship. We expect them to be competing to be in the playoffs. I don't buy that. That's what I'm saying. I draw the line at 9 wins.
And you know what, man? I think that's fair, right? Just yesterday, I said that, like, I would not take USC to win 10 games at minus odds. So I agree with what you're saying. I do think 8-4. I mean, that feels, as crazy as it sounds, maybe it sounds insane given they were 4-8 last year, right? Yeah. But in the context of modern college football, the talent they're bringing in, who Lincoln Riley has been, the fact that college football is now an offensive game, and while they struggle defensively, all of these great pieces and weapons they brought in should really thrive offensively. Like, I kind of think, they need to go 9-3 to almost justify Lincoln Riley here in year number 1. Well, needs a weird word, right? They're going to have rope. They have rope to play with, obviously, right? But if you want the majority of the fan base to be excited and be happy, 9-3 would feel like the number to hit where almost everybody be like, okay, that's a hell of a year 1.
I agree. I think if you can get to 9 wins and flirt with 10, with even if that is a possible bowl victory, I think everyone's happy. I mean, let's go through the schedule right now. I mean, at Stanford week 2, I think it's going to be a very tough matchup. We'll see what they can do there. Um, that's not an easy win by anything. I think at Utah, I think we can
You don't
both agree
think? Is
Utah.
Stanford any good? I don't know.
They got a quarterback.
I
It's
mean, at
still.
Utah's bad. At Utah's bad.
Well, I want to go back to Stanford first too. It's still the second game of the season. There's still, once again,
Okay.
there's not enough time to get adequate reps to build the chemistry, in my belief, to think this team is going to be just magically humming come week 2, their first road game. So I think that's still a question mark game. Obviously, a primetime game there on ABC. I think at Utah, middle of the season, I chalked up as a loss.
Yep.
Washington State, we'll see. I like them. And then Notre Dame, I think the good thing when you look at the end of the season, Notre Dame has to travel to USC. You would hope 3 months into the season, the issues that I'm talking about start to work themselves out, the chemistry, the timing, the communication. So I think that to me is a coin flip game at the moment. I think that's a big one. To me, if you're going to win 10 games, that's the game that it's going to be the 10-win mark right there. And I do think that if they progress the way that we think they can progress, if Caleb Williams can take that next step in year 2 under Lincoln Riley, if he can build the chemistry with his receivers, if he can build that leadership, what it takes to be an elite quarterback in this country, be that somewhat, I don't think he's a necessary Heisman dark horse, but he's not one of the top 3-4 guys in there right now. If he can make his way into that conversation, then yes, I think they could beat Notre Dame at the end of the year, be a 10-win team, and then they're fighting for a Pac-12 championship. So I'm rooting for Lincoln. Like I said, beginning this, I think he's a hell of a coach. I thought what I saw last year from Caleb, I thought he has some special talent. It's just until we can see what the portal and someone have success building a team that way, the New York Yankees style of building a roster, I like the home grow feel. I like getting guys through high school, developing them, bring them into your system, teaching them year 1, year 2, and then give them the football year 3 and see what they can do.
Well, everything that you're hitting on there at the end, Darren, is why this USC team is so fascinating, right? Because they are the college football equivalent of a grand social experiment. Like for all you Xbox 360 fans out there, man, think about the original BioShock, right? Where Andrew Ryan creates the city of Rapture underwater. He just has enough money, and so he literally wants to create the reality that he craves, that he wants to live in. And this USC team will be a fascinating commentary on if you have enough money and you can sell the correct pieces and like a Lincoln Riley and join in your program, can you from one year to the next just brute force your way into being good once again? I mean, if they go 9-3, 10-3 the bowl, you have to be 4-8. That is absurd. But again, with Caleb Williams, Addison and company, like I think it's possible, man. So we
It will
will
be good.
see.
I'll say this, T-Bob, it will be good for college football. It is a brand, and we always talk about, how do we make college football better? College football is better when USC is elite. It is. And when you have the ability to keep those kids on the West Coast through recruiting, when you have the ability to compete for Pac-12 championships, like that is good for the brand of college football. USC, hopefully we always talk about Texas coming back. Like those schools bring energy because it's not just all of a sudden focused on the SEC, Clemson, Ohio State, and then everyone else. And then you throw Oklahoma in the mix every now and then. Like we need a big time presence on the West Coast. That's why they went out there and bought, essentially bought Lincoln Riley and then I will say somewhat bought these players. I mean, there's a lot of money going to those players right now, whether it's through some of the collectives or deals. And that's the world we live in right now. And it is a social experiment like you alluded to. But when USC is good, we need that for the sport. So part of me is somewhat rooting for them to have success in year 1.
Well, that's kind of where it's crazy, right? Because I agree from a brand standpoint, great for college football. For the precedent that it sets, like if I'm a Pittsburgh fan listening to this, I'm probably ready to throw my computer out the window. I'm like, F these dudes. I mean, you kidding me? We have the Blitnikoff winner. I'm in Pittsburgh. Like for once, we had a little football success, and then you come in and you swoop in and you take our best player. What's Alabama's doing to teams throughout the country? So that's year 1 for Lincoln Riley. Let's go from one year 1 coach to another, and that is Billy Napier. Billy Napier's Gator Army. And the questions at Florida right now are kind of, where should a Florida fan's expectations be? And it's a bit fascinating for a couple of reasons. One thing that kind of jumps off the page to me is you look at the win total on FanDuel. And by the way, Snaps brought to you by FanDuel. Shout out. But you look at the win total on FanDuel, they have a higher win total than LSU does. They're sitting there at 7, set as the over-under versus 6.5 for that of LSU. And that's interesting because they, too, are coming off of a 6-7 year. And if you're talking about the Florida Gators, like, one of the things that Dan Mullen was not particularly great at was recruiting. Now, Billy Napier seems to be very good here, if the early returns are any example, right? I mean, my guy, I think currently sits at 7th in the on-3 rankings right now. And so when I look at this Florida team, it starts with Billy Napier. And I want to be clear about this. I do think Billy Napier is a very good college football coach. Like, what he did at UL Lafayette, which is a school where it is very hard to win at. It's especially hard. Like UL, it sounds crazy, but it is a school that has kind of always been tied to the economic boom and bust cycle of oil. There's a lot of very rich oil alumni, right? And when oil is good, people are giving. When they're not, they're not. And a lot of times UL's success rate has varied, it's coincided with that. Billy Napier managed to get out of that a little bit. And he developed a team that was very impressive, won a ton of games, and he did it with a great quarterback in Levi Lewis. I mean, he got Levi Lewis to 60% completion, 3,000-yard passing, 300 yards rushing, a very smart quarterback, 20 touchdowns to 4 picks. And so when I look at what Napier was able to get out of that team and get out of Lewis specifically, I understand Florida fans getting very excited about this hire, because not only did he do great things at UL from a team standpoint, but he got great quarterback play. And in Anthony Richardson, you have one of the most physically capable quarterbacks in the entire country. I mean, the dude's a freak. 6'4", 230. He was second in the entire FBS, averaged 8.3 yards per carry. But, and this is where I rely on you, Aaron, when you attune your quarterback eyes to the Florida Gators, by the way, a team that we both have, I think, a mutual hatred of. But when you tune your eyes to the Florida Gators and you look at Anthony Richardson, can he be that good quarterback? Like, can he make the decisions on a play-to-play basis needed to get Florida to where they want to be?
Yeah, I think so. I believe you look at the physical tools that he has, and I think it's going to be, at least year one, a little bit more emphasis on running the football for him. And it's the same thing. We go back to the discussion for Lincoln Riley at USC. How fast can these young men learn a playbook? How fast can they get, pass install 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? Because if you go out there and you can only run your base game plan, if you can only get through the first half of the playbook where the coaches feel confident enough to call plays for you to go and execute, it's pretty vanilla. And what do we know about defenses, especially defense in the SEC? And go look last year at what happened in that game versus Georgia and Anthony Richardson, how much he struggled against that defense. If you're running base stuff, you're going to be in trouble. You have to be able to get into the week 6 to week 10 installs in order to have success in this league. So it's how fast are they picking up what is being put down by the coordinators and by the head coach there? And is it going to be enough to confuse defenses in this league? But when it comes to just pure talent, yes, Anthony Richardson can do it all. Big kid. We saw the freakish arm strength last year, the ability to throw off different angles, the ability to run the football. There's good talent around him. I think, to me, USC, we keep harping back because there's two teams that big brands, are doing some good stuff. USC obviously is in a better conference, or not as good of a conference, have a better chance to succeed in year one. I do think when you look at Florida, year one, new staff, a lot of new faces on both sides of the football.
A lot of new faces and a lot of new staff, which we can get to.
A lot of new staff. I'm not buying this team being an 8-4 team as we look at the staff here. I mean, this is what you want. If you're a parent who's looking to have one-on-one attention for your student athlete, it is easily 1v1 here. I mean, you essentially got a personal assistant for every player on that roster, which is tremendous. I mean, he has built an army of people. For those listening, make sure you go check out this picture on our YouTube channel to see how much staff Florida has right now. But I just think the East,
I think they have outnumbered
better this year. Yeah,
I
they
think the
could.
staff has the players outnumbered in the picture. Now, look. It is very fun, and it looks ridiculous. Like it's like when you
Yeah.
see the picture, it kind of blows your mind. But you look a little closer. There's some young faces in there, right? Maybe you got all the student equipment staff, the student trainers, and I respect that, man, right? And let's be clear, Billy Napier is approaching all of this with like a Saban but kind of new age approach. I mean, he created this title of game day coordinator. Napier's kind of like a young tech bro on the come up, but in the college football scene, trying to do things a little bit differently while kind of honoring some of the time honored, successful principles of the past. We'll see if it works out. One thing that does work out very well for them here, Aaron, have you seen this schedule?
What do you
This
mean?
is
The
a
schedule
very
is a
nice.
no.
Well, okay.
The first two
It's a
games.
tough schedule. Wait, what?
The first two games, there's a good chance Florida goes 0-2 to start the year. I mean, they could go
I
one
agree.
and three to start the year.
I agree. It is a tough schedule, but it's tough because you're in the SEC. Why I say it works out is look who they have at home. Out of your tough games. Like if you're going to play tough games,
Yeah,
where do you want to play them, right? And if
yeah.
you're
You want them in the
Florida
swamp.
and you're scrapping in the East, and the teams you're going to be compared to are like South Carolina, Mizzou, Kentucky, you have all of them at home. You have LSU at home. You've got Utah at home. And so I feel you. It could be a bad start, but honestly, I mean, what is Florida looking to do? They're looking to go like 8-4. Honestly, I feel like is what most people be really happy with here. Year number one, if you can get that over 7, and SEC schedules are always going to be brutal. So if you're going to tell me the ones that will kind of determine whether or not I can hit that 8-win mark or at home, I will always take that, especially when I believe when the swamp is at its greatest, I don't think there's
Hmm.
a better SEC football stadium. I mean,
Yeah.
it's built so vertical, it holds in the sound, it gets so loud. The fans are right on top. They're like calling you fat ass. They're like trying to get in your head the whole game. I loved playing there, and I hated it too at the same time, right? And
Yeah.
so, if you're going to give me those
Well, can we?
games in
Can
the
we?
swamp, yes, I'll take
Yeah.
that.
Well, can we pull the schedule up real quick? I just want to look at it one more time and kind of break it down. Obviously, at Utah or not, excuse me, Utah and Kentucky at home, first two games of the season,
Yeah,
two better football teams right now, more prepared to start the year off. I like at Tennessee. I like Tennessee in that week 4 matchup right there. So all of a sudden you're
I
talking
know.
about
I
trying
know.
to build a culture, and I think 2-2 is the best that I would say that you're going to be at the moment. Like I don't think they're going to be 3-1. They get to me, best case is 2-2. Worst case is 1-3. You win the next two games, you get to 500. I think LSU is a better team. We can agree Georgia's a better team. A&M's a better team. I think it's good to know that South Carolina is going to the swamp, but South Carolina has a chance to be a better team. And then at Florida State, we'll discuss Florida State here shortly. But it, I'm looking at a team right now that Billy Napier is building it, and he's going to build it through recruiting. And you alluded to, I mean, the reason why Dan Mullen lost his job, and I still don't agree with the decision. I think Dan Mullen is a hell of a football coach. You go back a couple of years ago and what that SEC championship game looked like, how close they made that and had an opportunity to
Yeah.
possibly beat Alabama. Then all of a sudden he has one bad year and he gets like, oh, it was because of the recruiting. And it was some of the comments that he made. It was some of the comments that Kirby Smart made about what it takes to be successful in this league. And Dan was not ready to put in that kind of effort on the recruiting trail. Billy comes
Yeah.
in, you know what he does on the recruiting trail. If you've seen the facilities that they just put in, which are long, long overdue. I think they spent about $85 million on brand new facilities there in Gainesville. They have everything you want. They got the talent in the state. It's just not going to happen year one. And it goes back
That's
to
fair.
what I've been harping on. The East is just, it's better. This isn't the SEC East that we're used to seeing for the past 5 or 6 years, where it's just Georgia's good or Florida's good, and then everyone else is just bad. Everyone, to me, everyone that 90% of the East
You
is
think
good this
bad?
year.
Wait, you think the East is bad? See, I think the East is actually a bit more quality
No, I'm
this year.
saying
Now it's a lot of people in the
been
middle.
bad. It's
Oh
been
yes, yeah,
bad,
yeah.
is what
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
saying. I'm like, this isn't the SEC East that we're used to seeing. This is now all of a
Yes,
sudden the
fair.
SEC East where Georgia's elite, Tennessee's good, Kentucky's good, Florida's good, South Carolina's good. Missouri and Vandy are kind of at the bottom tier, and Vandy's way, way, way far down there. But everyone else is extremely competitive. Like, I think once you get past Georgia, those next 4 teams, any given Saturday, anyone could beat anyone, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. So I think you're right, Aaron. Look, I think at the end of this conversation, I would not take the over 7. I would bet the under there, and I'd feel pretty confident doing so. I guess my overall point is that I do think that Billy Napier will get Florida back to being nationally relevant. And trust me, I hate saying that because, again, with that being the permanent crosstown opponent of LSU, LSU fans have suffered at Florida's hands many times. Some of the favorite games, though. We cannot move on from Florida, though, without talking about one of my favorite Florida transfers here. And this is a guy who I don't know how many people know about him, but this is an offensive guard here, Aaron. Osiris Torrance. He comes from UL following Billy Napier. This was a cat who was 420 pounds in junior high, which part of the reason why, right, he was not heavily recruited. Kind of one of those guys like, can you get that weight under control? Probably not. Well, he did. This season, he's entering the year as a second-team All-American. Listen to these numbers, bro. He's a 3-year starter. 3-year starter. In 37 career games, he has 1,146 pass blocking snaps. Over 1,100. He's given up 0 sacks. Not a single snap. Or not
What
a single
league was
sack
he in?
in
What
nearly
league was he
12.
in?
Chill out. It was the Fun Belt. Relax. Still,
Okay.
still though. Okay. But you can only judge a player relative to their competition, right?
Yes.
Okay. How many O-linemen do you ever know, no matter the level, that don't get got at least one in over 1,100? He's given up just 17 pressures. I mean, if you don't believe it, the cat's 6'5". Just wait. He's going to dominate the SEC this year. He probably loses that sackless stat, but I cannot sit here and turn my nose up at that. Shout out to Osiris Torrance, which I love that name as well. So it seems like we're in agreement. Maybe year one, not going to be the year for Napier, but I do like the direction of the program overall.
Yeah, year one, I think it's what a year one should be. Like, once again, like, this is the problem with collegiate sports and part of this whole everyone wants Nick Saban, everyone wants success right away, and hey, we got rid of Dan Mullen and we brought you in and we just built this $85 million facility. You have 85 coaches on staff. It's 1-for-1. Like, you have everything that you could possibly want. Why can't you win right now? And that's the problem nowadays with just for everyone. There's no patience. There's no, let's just do this the right way. Unless you're Kentucky. I mean, I think everyone should look at what Mark Stoops has built there at Kentucky and say, hey, we need this. And if Florida has that patience with the talent in that state, then success will come. But the problem too, when it comes to keeping kids in the state of Florida, is everyone's going to Florida. You know, LSU, the reason why I feel good about Brian Kelly and LSU is the fact that LSU kids want to go to LSU. Louisiana kids want to go to LSU.
It's one of the great geographical advantages. There's no other flagship.
But the state of Florida, you got Miami, you got Florida State, you got Florida, you got UCF, but then you got Georgia, you got the Ohio States, you got Clemson, you got Alabama. I mean, everyone is going into the state of Florida to pick these kids off. It's hard to put a picket fence around the state. They just have not owned it in a long, long time. So to me, that's goal number one. Like I said, you've built the facilities. These kids have everything they want. You got the resources. It's a great school when it comes to education. It's the number 2 school in the SEC right behind Vanderbilt. You can use that to sell. I think this is going to be a program that will be back to being in contention to win the East year 3, year 4, not year 1, not even close.
I had no idea about Florida academics like that. You know what else I don't know about? I don't know anything about geography. Yeah, exactly. I know nothing about geography, right? So I'm going to take a guess here, and I'm going to say we're going northwest in the state of Florida. And let's head on up to Tallahassee as we talk a little Mike Norvell and the Florida State Seminoles.
Did you say northwest?
I said northwest. Was I right? Damn it. Okay, east. but north, I got half right, though. I was like
maybe
50%.
Just straight east.
Okay, look, boys. Look, Snaps is a new show. As you're going to learn, geography, not my strong suit. I once got a 13 out of 100 on the European countries test.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
Oh, look at me. Okay, yeah. How's that LSU education now, Aaron?
And I'm
What's
from the
going
state of Florida
on?
too, so I'm a little embarrassed by that comment right there. I was thinking
Okay,
Jacksonville in my head.
then.
That's what it was. Wink, wink. I was thinking
Yeah,
Jacksonville.
whatever, dude. Whatever you got to tell
Yeah,
yourself, man.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
fine,
yeah.
dude. Okay. So
We can
speaking
edit
of
this out, right?
Jacksonville, Jacksonville State, a team that Florida State very famously lost to last year. And so now the question is, you heard McElroy talking about it. It's weird, man. For me and my age, this idea of can Mike Norvell save his job and kind of by extension, can he like bring back Florida State? It's so wild because if you're my age, Florida State was the school when you were growing up. They were top 5 every single year. They were competing for natties every single year. Peter Warrick was one of the coolest college football players I've ever seen. I remember being a little chubby 10-year-old in the Duluth Wildcats, and our uniforms had the same font numbers as Florida State, and we were freaking hyped. And yet here we sit, and hell, I'm even a Jameis Winston fan. I cover the Saints, right? But here we sit, and while 2013 may not feel that long ago, it's 10 years ago now. And in the decade since, it's been a consistent decline. I mean, the last winning season was 2017. And even in that year, they were 7-6. And so I'll let you start us off here, man. What do you think from Norvell and the Seminoles? And to be clear, the bar is low, right? Like to
Yeah.
save his job, I kind of feel like it's probably just bowl eligibility and a bowl win. Like, can you get to 7-6? Can Florida State get it?
To me, I think I think he has to get to 8 wins. I don't think going 500 in the regular season is going to cut it for him. You know, obviously there was a lot of excitement about his hire a few years ago, but this is still a program that believes they should be elite, and they should. Once again, they're in the state of Florida. They're in the ACC. It's not as competitive as a league as, say, the SEC or the Big Ten or some of these other conferences across the country. So the expectation is, hey, we're Florida State. We have talent. We brought you in to develop this talent, and we should not be fighting to make a bowl game. So to me, if you're a Florida State fan saying, hey, we're fighting just to get 6-6 and get bowl eligible to possibly get over 500 if you win the bowl game, that's not what they want to hear in year 3. They want to hear, hey, we're 7-8 wins fighting to possibly get 9 wins by winning a bowl game. And I think they could do that. You look at the defense side of the football, the way they finished last year off. I love their D-line. I love their secondary. Offensively, they got some good running backs that can do a little bit of everything, catching the ball in the backfield as well. They have to win. I think they have to win 7, and then the 8th game is the bowl game. They have to win that. If you're 6-6 and saying, woo, 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 we won a bowl game, celebrating that, you may be looking for a new job at the end of the season.
Okay, but so in kind of keeping with what we just said on Kentucky, though, is that irrational self-belief?
That's Kentucky. Because,
like I said,
that's Kentucky. That's Kentucky.
Exactly, but but has Florida State proven what they are to us yet? Like is my childhood vision of Florida State at odds with what they actually are? Because yes, they were incredible under Bobby Bowden consistently, but if you look pre him and really post him, now Jimbo had it going for a little bit. Like Florida State's not been good. So I don't know. Like I guess I'm asking, have things gotten so bad that they have to allow that Mark Stoops Kentucky level of rope, or no, you still think the brand is strong enough where they should be able to get back in it quickly?
I think every school should go the Mark Stoops Kentucky route. I do. What I'm saying is you're telling me that the Florida fans are going to humble themselves enough to say, hey, we're going to compare ourselves to a school that for forever has been known as a basketball school and say, oh, we're going to give this guy more rope and we're going to be patient and we're going to wait till year 6 and 7 before we see success at Florida State. Like they don't look at themselves like that. I am all for going the Kentucky route. I'm all for giving a coach an opportunity to build it. I still think year 3 is a very, for a program like Florida State, they're at a different level than Kentucky because of the talent that they already have on the roster compared to the Wildcats. I think year 3, you do have to show some pretty massive improvement though. I'm not saying they have to go out there and win 9 games. They have to go win 10 games, but you got to win. You got to be 7-5 in the regular season, and you got to be, have an opportunity to win 8 football games. I think you win 8, you buy yourself 2 more years to continue to build this program and see if you can be more competitive. And once again, if you want to compare them to Kentucky, the big difference once again is SEC versus ACC. Mark Stoops was
Yeah, it's
building the
fair.
program
It's fair.
with inside the SEC. That's not easy to do. You're giving Norvell this job at Florida State, traditionally a very good school, a team that's won national championships, a team that won a national championship within the past 10 years, and you're in the ACC and you can't win. So there's still a lot of factors that are fighting him when it comes to the fans' mindset of why aren't we successful today, not in 2024, not in 2025.
I agree. The ACC has been very weak. I'm a little intrigued by the ACC this year. I mean, 5 ranked teams to the SEC 6. I think they probably have the best group of quarterbacks in the country, but I don't know how I feel about the conference as a whole from like a power ranking standpoint still. One thing they must fix, if we just want to talk about like one single stat, Aaron, they were awful on third down last year on both sides of the ball. And third down rates are really like, it's kind of like yards per attempt with the quarterback. It's actually a pretty healthy look at trying using one number to kind of determine the success of a team. They converted just 35.6% of third downs this year, puts them 110 in the country. They allowed 43.4, puts them 104 in the country. So in the downs that, kind of have the biggest impact on the game, Florida State has to be better. I do like their running back quite a bit. Treshaun Ward, he was great as a true freshman last year behind an awful offensive line. We're going to learn, though, because like you said, the strength of the Florida State team will be the defense. This is an LSU offense that has a ton of question marks top to bottom. I love the receiver group, but the O-line's full of questions. You don't really know who the quarterback's going to be yet. Nobody's really standing out in that quarterback room. John Emery going to be suspended, and they get the week 0 tune-up game, which if you're an LSU fan listening to this, you probably have PTSD from last year where UCLA got the week 0 tune-up game. We kind of hand-waved it away. Next thing you know, UCLA beat that ass, right? Florida State gets Duquesne this weekend, so you better believe I'm going to be at the beach, tequila in hand, locked in, doing a little scouting on Norvell and the Seminoles. One quick comment
Advantage
in the
LSU
chat.
though, being in Louisiana though. I mean, games there in New Orleans, so you would expect obviously a home crowd for LSU. I think that's big though. I mean, if Norvell could start the season off 2-0, most likely, if you can win those first 2 games, you're most likely probably going to win those next 2 as well. If you're 4-0 heading into the meat of your schedule, first Wake Forest at NC State, and then you get Clemson and Georgia Tech at home, I feel pretty good because the back end of the schedule should be, possibly 3 wins, Syracuse, Louisiana, and then the big matchup versus Florida. You get them at home as well. So beginning of the schedule, end of the schedule set up nicely to contend to get the 7 wins. The goal is going to be, can you win 1, if not 2, right there in the meat of your schedule?
Yeah, and they did start 0-4 last year before finishing pretty strong. Mark Cumby in the chat says, Billy Napier, the next Butch Jones. I disagree there, right? Napier's proven as a head coach. Jones had not. Speaking of head coaches, The Athletic, website that I love, came out with a tier list today for college football coaches. They do an NFL quarterback tier list that is also fantastic. But I love the ideas of tiers, right? Because you can give me like 1, 2, 3 rankings, but it's going to be very kind of nitpicky, right? What I want to know is who is in the grouping, who is thought to be the best coaches in college football. And right here, you see it here. You got Ryan Day. So first off, they say Nick Saban 1A, as should be, right? In the 1B category, you got Ryan Day, you got Luke Fickell, you got Jimbo Fisher, you got Jim Harbaugh, you got Brian Kelly, you got Lincoln Riley, you got Kirby Smart, you got Dabo Swinney, you got Kyle Whittingham. I think they all deserve to be there. But the question is, when you look at this group, okay. Who do you think should not be in there?
Let's bring the list back up. The group of guys that I don't think need to be in 1B. I love Luke Fickell. I think he's a great coach. I've had an opportunity to cover him a ton over the past 4 years, but he's been at Cincinnati, and I love the story. I love the way they competed last year against Alabama in the playoffs, but still, and to me, in order to be considered a elite coach, I want to see you do it every single week against elite talent. And the AAC is not a bad conference. It's probably the best Group of 5 conference. You could have said 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it actually probably was better and more competitive than the ACC. I'll give them that. But still, if you want to be in that level and you want to be in that conversation, I would like to see him move into a Power 5 program and be able to do it there. So I'm not I'm taking him out of the one category. I'm taking Jim Harbaugh out of the one category. I'm taking Kyle Whittingham out of it. So to me,
So what does
the
Harbaugh have
guys,
to do to get back in it? Harbaugh, what if he wins the Big Ten again
the
this year? Is he back in it
if he
then?
wins the Big Ten again this year, yeah, then he's back into
Okay.
it. But it's
Okay.
still Ohio State is can call themselves daddy in that conference, and especially in
Yeah.
the rivalry with Michigan. Until you can consistently win that football game, until you can consistently be in the Big Ten championship game, I'm not putting you in that elite category. I'm not just going to open it up to anyone. Jimbo gets it because he's won a natty, and obviously in this day and age, that's rare because of Nick Saban. Ryan Day and what he's done at Ohio State, yes. I do believe Brian Kelly, I've said it before, what he's produced at Notre Dame is phenomenal. I think he's a top 5 coach. So yes, Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, yes. Kirby and Dabo, yes. National championships. Kyle, can he get to the playoffs? I think that's what's separating him from getting into that 1B category for me.
Okay, so you're not even giving it to Whittingham. Okay, so I kind of like this, right? A more exclusive tier 1, as it should, argumentatively be. How about this? So there's this idea that you have to win a national championship to be a tier 1 coach. I don't necessarily agree with that, right? Because I see national championship coaches that I would not put in the tier 1. Ed O being one of them, who was great until he wasn't. Mac Brown being another one. Again, I think Jimbo's flirting with this. But what about the T's right here? Is Dabo still elite? As we sit here and we judge Dabo Swinney today, he's finally moving on from his coordinators for the first time in 10 years. His story is great. Winning those 2 natties is something that nobody would have expected, but he has been very clear. He is not really buying into the new age of college football. He doesn't want to engage in the transfer portal, even though they probably could have used one of these great quarterbacks to come in and compete with DJ Uiagalelei, right? Like, what would it have hurt? But he says no transfer portal. While they have NIL deals, he's not necessarily out here championing them or pushing them. I think there is a real concern. And let's be clear, they have like 3 or 4 guys on the first team all defense on ESPN's All-American team right now. Like they have a lot of talent still. So I don't know about this year, but I am worried in this new era of college football that there is some real drop-off potential for Dabo Swinney.
I'm not. And once again, it goes back to the conversation of how good is the conference he's in. And for Dabo, he's won championships. So that puts him in that level of automatically somewhat being in that 1A, 1B. We'll leave 1A at Nick Saban. No one else is in 1A. Nick Saban is
no one's 1A.
But 1B with Dabo, I think, the championships that puts him there right now. And he's going to win 10 games every year. They're going to win a minimum 9-10 games every year, have an opportunity to win the ACC. I don't think they're going to just all of a sudden just drop to a 8-win team, a 7-5 team. I don't see that happening. They still are the cream of the crop. They still have the best players in the ACC until Florida State or Miami, especially those 2 teams that have the brands, get to a level where you can see consistency from them. I just don't think anything long-term is going to interrupt what Dabo's building or has built there at Clemson. So I get it. He's going to have to change. And if he doesn't, then he's going to have to reevaluate if he even wants to coach college football. Because if you're going to step back and be stubborn and say, hey, I'm not going to get guys in the transfer portal, if I'm not going to try to find ways to get our kids paid through NIL, you're going to fail. So eventually it's either evolve or die. And I think that's a personal decision for him. And if he doesn't evolve, maybe he just steps away. I don't know. But to me, he loves the game too much. He loves winning too much to sit back and watch everyone else kind of take a step forward when it comes to all these things that are huge advantages in today's game and not do anything about it.
Yeah, it's tough to say, dude. I don't know how Dabo feels about evolution either. I could see it going either way. Well, okay, so we will still grant Dabo elite status for now, right? It's a big year though. Who do you think wins the ACC? Because I went a little chalky this morning. I'm kind of terrified of doing this because I know it's going to blow up in my face. I threw my lot in with the Wolfpack and Devin Leary. And I
Wow.
know they have the feeling of one of those teams where you finally buy in preseason and then they're going to disappoint you. Does Clemson get the ACC back?
Yes, because of the defense. You look at defenses, and when we saw it last year, defenses can still win championships in college
Mm,
football, and I
true.
do think defenses are catching up to what offenses are putting on the field. No longer, to me, are we going to see the consistent games over and over again in every single league where it's 40, 50 points per team? Who can get to 55 first is going to win. Like, I think that is going to start to dwindle. And like I said, we saw that last year with Georgia. If you put a very good defense on the field, especially if you have an elite front seven. I go back to how did Tampa Bay beat Kansas City 2 years ago? What they do? They played cover two the entire time. They allowed that front seven of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to absolutely dominate while
Yeah.
supporting the corners because the safeties had over top protect or coverage. That is what Clemson's going to be able to do with their front seven. They're
Mm,
going to be able to rush the
true.
passer with six guys in the box, drop back with two safeties, and it's going to really, I would say, handicap a lot of offenses and any opponent that they do face. So because of the defense, I think that's going to give them an opportunity to really dominate once again. I think a very average ACC.
Yeah, and again, an average conference maybe, but a good grouping of quarterbacks. But I will be
Yep.
fast. I'm can't wait to see them have to go up
Yep.
against that Clemson defense every single week. Look, man, if y'all are enjoying snaps, we thank you so much. Please hit the like button. Okay, subscribe to the channel, please. The algorithmic gods that rule our existence. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast feeds under the volume snaps, and we'll be here every day. Every day, 2 p.m. Eastern, 45 minutes, college football talk Monday through Thursday. Got some weekend plans as well going on for you. Aaron, thank you so much, man. You have an excellent day. Ryan Brumley, thank you so much producing everything, making the show happen. And thank you to the audience. I love seeing new faces in here. I can't wait to keep doing this with y'all. And, well, I mean, big geography win for your boy today. Highlight of the show. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.